The sun rose slowly over the English Channel on June 6, 1944. The first light of dawn painted the sky in hues of pink and gold, casting a serene glow over the restless waters below. It was a sunrise like countless others, yet this dawn carried the weight of destiny. The calmness of the morning belied the storm of steel and fire that was about to be unleashed. The fate of the free world hung in the balance. The vast expanse of the English Channel was dotted with an armada of ships, each vessel a small piece in the grand mosaic of Operation Overlord. On the shores of Normandy, across the churning waters, awaited the iron grip of Nazi tyranny. The beaches, codenamed Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword, were fortified with bunkers, mines, and artillery, ready to repel the invaders. For the men aboard thousands of ships, the coming hours would be a test of courage, a crucible of fire. This was D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in history, a bold gamble to liberate Europe from the clutches of fascism. The air was thick with anticipation. Every man knew that the success of the mission depended on their bravery and resolve. The weight of history pressed down upon their shoulders, whispers of prayers mingled with the rumble of engines. Some men clutched rosaries, others muttered silent words to loved ones far away, seeking solace in faith and memory. Men checked their equipment, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and resolve. They knew the risks. They understood the stakes. Each soldier was acutely aware that the hours ahead could be their last. Yet they pressed on, bound by duty, honor, and a belief in a future free from oppression. The camaraderie among them was palpable, a brotherhood forged in the crucible of war. The men came from all corners of the globe. Americans, British, Canadians, and more, united in their common goal. They were a coalition of free nations, standing together against the darkness of tyranny. They were ordinary men called upon to do extraordinary things. Farmers, teachers, factory workers, and students transformed into warriors by the demands of their time. Their names, for many, would be lost to history, but their sacrifice would echo through generations. The sands of Normandy would be forever stained with their blood, a testament to their valor. This was their rendezvous with destiny. Each man knew that the outcome of this day would shape the future of the world. This was the day the tide of war would turn. The Allied forces were determined to breach Hitler's Atlantic Wall and begin the liberation of occupied Europe. The day the forces of freedom would land on French soil, determined to break the Nazi war machine and liberate a continent. As the first waves of troops hit the beaches, the world held its breath, watching as history unfolded in the sands of Normandy. Operation Overlord, the largest amphibious invasion in human history, was about to be unleashed. This monumental event, meticulously planned and executed, would forever change the course of World War II and the fate of millions. Years of planning had culminated in this moment. The Allied forces, comprising troops from the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and several other nations, had been preparing for this day with relentless determination and unwavering focus. Every detail, every contingency had been meticulously considered. From the timing of the tides to the phases of the moon, nothing was left to chance. The success of the operation hinged on precise coordination and flawless execution. The sheer scale of the operation was staggering. Thousands of ships, ranging from battleships to landing crafts, formed an armada that stretched as far as the eye could see. The logistics of moving such a vast number of men and equipment across the English Channel were mind-boggling. Over 156,000 men would storm the beaches of Normandy, supported by thousands of ships and aircraft. These brave soldiers, many of whom were experiencing combat for the first time, were about to face an enemy entrenched and prepared for their arrival. It was a colossal gamble, a daring move that would decide the fate of millions. The stakes were incredibly high, and the outcome uncertain. The success of Operation Overlord would determine the future of Europe and the world. General Dwight Eisenhower, Supreme Allied Commander, had shouldered the burden of responsibility. His leadership and strategic vision were crucial to the success of the operation. He knew that the hopes of the free world rested on his shoulders. The fate of the free world rested on his decision. Eisenhower's resolve and determination were unwavering, even in the face of immense pressure. He understood the gravity of the situation and the importance of the mission. He had given the order, full victory, nothing else. These words were not just a command, they were a rallying cry, a declaration of intent that resonated deeply with the troops. His words resonated with the troops. They knew the importance of their mission and were determined to see it through. The sense of camaraderie and shared purpose was palpable. They would accept nothing less than complete and utter victory over the Nazi scourge. The soldiers were united in their resolve, ready to face the formidable challenges that lay ahead. The invasion plan was intricate, a tapestry woven from deception, logistics, and raw courage. The Allies had devised a multifaceted strategy to ensure the success of the operation. The Allies had created elaborate ruses to mislead the Germans about the time and location of the landings. These deceptions were crucial in gaining the element of surprise. Inflatable tanks and dummy aircraft were positioned along the English coast, while false radio traffic created the illusion of an attack elsewhere. These measures were designed to confuse and mislead the German forces. The Germans, however, were battle-hardened and dug in along the Atlantic Wall, a formidable line of fortifications stretching along the French coastline. They had spent years fortifying their positions, confident that they could repel any Allied assault. They were confident in their defenses, believing the Allies would not dare to attempt such a daring assault. The German High Command was convinced that their fortifications were impregnable. They would be proven wrong. The bravery and determination of the Allied forces would overcome the formidable German defenses. This was a day of reckoning. The courage and sacrifice of the soldiers who stormed the beaches of Normandy would be remembered for generations to come. Their actions on that fateful day would pave the way for the liberation of Europe and the eventual defeat of Nazi Germany. The Normandy coastline was divided into 5 landing beaches: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. These names would soon be etched into the annals of history, representing the courage and sacrifice of thousands of soldiers. Each beach presented its own unique challenges, its own deadly gauntlet for the invading forces. The terrain, the fortifications, and the enemy defenses varied, making each landing a distinct and perilous endeavor. The men had trained relentlessly for this moment, rehearsing every step, every maneuver. They practiced amphibious landings, storming mock beaches, and coordinating with naval and air support. The training was grueling, but it was essential for the success of the mission. But nothing could fully prepare them for the chaos and carnage that awaited. The noise, the confusion, the sheer intensity of the battle was beyond anything they had experienced. Explosions rocked the beaches and the air was thick with smoke and the cries of the wounded. Utah Beach, assigned to the U.S. 4th Infantry Division, was relatively lightly defended. The initial landings met with less resistance than expected, giving the Americans a foothold on the beach. However, strong currents pushed the landing craft off course, creating confusion and delaying the advance. The soldiers had to regroup and reorient themselves under fire, a daunting task in the heat of battle. Despite the initial setbacks, the Americans fought with tenacity, securing the beachhead and pushing inland. Their determination and resilience were crucial in overcoming the early obstacles and establishing a strong position. Omaha Beach, the deadliest of the 5 landing zones, was assigned to the U.S. 1st and 29th Infantry Divisions. The beach was heavily fortified, and the Germans were well prepared to repel the invasion. The Germans held the high ground, raining down a deadly hail of machine gun fire, mortars, and artillery. The American soldiers faced a relentless barrage as they struggled to advance up the beach. The Americans faced a bloodbath, the beach littered with the fallen. The initial waves suffered heavy casualties, and the situation seemed dire. Yet, amidst the chaos, acts of extraordinary bravery and leadership emerged. Yet, they persevered, scaling the cliffs under intense fire, their courage unwavering. Small groups of soldiers managed to break through the defenses, creating a path for others to follow. Their tenacity turned the tide of the battle. Gold Beach, assigned to the British 50th Infantry Division, saw fierce fighting but was eventually secured. The British forces faced strong German defenses, but their meticulous planning and coordination paid off. The British troops fought with their characteristic grit and determination, overcoming stiff German resistance. They used specialized equipment such as tanks fitted with flails to clear mines to gain the upper hand. Juno Beach, assigned to the Canadian 3rd Infantry Division, was also heavily defended. The Canadians faced a formidable enemy, but their training and resolve were put to the ultimate test. The Canadians faced a withering barrage as they stormed ashore, their bravery and sacrifice instrumental in securing the beachhead. Despite the heavy fire, they pressed forward, driven by a sense of duty and camaraderie. Sword Beach, the easternmost landing zone, was assigned to the British 3rd Infantry Division and the Free French Commando Marine. This beach was crucial for linking up with airborne forces and securing the eastern flank of the invasion. They faced fierce resistance from the German 75th Infantry Division, but ultimately prevailed. The combined efforts of the British and Free French forces were instrumental in overcoming the German defenses and securing the beach.
We were jumping into darkness, the roar of the engines drowning out all other sounds. As I drifted down, I could hear the sound of gunfire in the distance. We were going into hell.
We were scattered all over the place, some guys landing in trees, others in ditches. We had to regroup and fight our way to our objectives.
The water was red with blood. Men were screaming for help, their bodies riddled with bullets. I did what I could, but there were so many wounded, so many dying.
We were terrified but also relieved. The Germans had been brutal and we had been living in fear for years. When we saw the American soldiers, we knew we were finally free.
The true story of D-Day can only be understood through the personal accounts of those who were there. Their voices, often trembling with emotion, paint a vivid picture of the chaos, the terror, and the extraordinary courage displayed that day.